And it's the end of November, folks, which if you are part of the extended Goldberg family means one thing. It's almost Christmas! And like all suburban Montreal Jews, Christmas is a pretty big deal, all right? I don't know if you know how big a deal it is to the Goldbergs of Beaconsfield. But Christmas in the Goldberg household growing up is kind of weird because we have two contrasting visions of the season. Christmas was my mother's favorite time of year, not to be cliche, but she loved the quiet contemplation of Christmas. I remember sitting with her by the Christmas tree, just watching the reflection of lights on the windows and off the ceiling, and just being in a space, a quiet winter space. And my dad was everything that is not. My father wants Christmas that literally yells at you. My father wants decorations that sing and scream and ho, 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 Merry Christmas. And he never changes the batteries, so you come back year after year and it's ho, 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 Merry Christmas. And at some point it's hoo, 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 and nightmarish, Merry Christmas. And it's crazy because he gets more and more, and that's what Christmas is for my dad, more and more. More bells, more jingle, more twinkle, more glitter everywhere. And that's Christmas, baby. Presents sweeping out into the hallway. This is a man who loves stuff, contrasted with my mother's quiet contemplation in the corner. Now, growing up in this was amazing because you got all of those presents, but I remember being 7 years old, and it occurred to me that there's something a little bit weird here because we were in the middle of lighting the menorah, and this was one of those late Hanukkahs where it's intersecting with Christmas, and I was thinking, like, what is this all about? And so I asked my dad. That's what you do as a kid. You ask your dad. And I said, Dad, why do we celebrate Christmas if we're Jewish? And he got, that sober, considerate dad face that you want. Well, son, it's because when your mother was growing up, it's what she always wanted. She always wanted a Christmas tree. And I mean, that's pretty good, right? Like he's doing it for mom. I mean, that's beautiful. That's wonderful. And I walked away feeling really good about this situation. Like, yeah, we're doing Christmas because mom always wanted Christmas. And I got to tell you, that held me for a number of years, an embarrassing number of years before it started to occur to me that my mother, Mary Alana Fallon, now Goldberg, daughter of Lucille Lagemaudière and daughter of the Gabory family and this other crazy Scottish family, they were very Christian. I knew this, but I never made this connection that my mom, my dad didn't lie to me. My mom always wanted a Christmas tree growing up, but growing up, she almost certainly always had a Christmas tree. This is the whole thing with Christianity as far as I understand it. So I don't know. You don't really want to interrogate. You don't really want to push. Until I was in my rebellious grade 9. You're doing the grade 9 history course in high school, and you're feeling like, who are we anyway? What are we really doing here? And I remember confronting my dad and saying, Dad, I don't understand this. You told me once, I asked you why we celebrate Christmas when we're Jews, and you told me you did it for mom, but mom is Christian. She goes to church with my grandmother on Christmas Day. What gives? And he looked at me, and he got that strong, serious, sober face, and he said, Matthew, I don't know what you're talking about. But I do know this. We celebrate Christmas. Yes, you're Jewish. Your brothers are Jewish. By the way, by a lot of people's standards, not Jewish. Anyway, you're Jewish. Your brothers are Jewish. But your mother and I agreed when we saw your older brother Daniel in school, he was so left out. So we started celebrating Christmas so he wouldn't feel left out. I thought, cool. We're doing it for Dan. We're doing it for Danny. I love Danny. He's my big brother. It'll be many more years before I kind of hate him, but I love him. And that was great. That was a solid answer for a good couple of years. And I finish high school. I go through Cégep. I wander around for a bit. It's Quebec. We do that. sometime in university, I've come back from exchange, and I'm looking through like Christmas albums, photo albums with my parents, and I find, the early Christmas photos, and I start seeing younger and younger Josh and Matt and Dan, and now Dan's a baby, and I'm running through my head the story like, oh, Dan going to school, we didn't want to get picked on, so we started doing Christmas, and it occurs to me like, well, okay. But like you didn't start when he was in school, you started when he was a baby. And here's some photos of Christmas, and maybe this is pre-kids, it's hard to tell, young parents, weird. But I didn't say anything, I didn't think anything of it. It was almost the holidays, so I put the album away. But I think about this over the couple of years. Finally, one day we're driving. We're on some Christmas miracle holiday run, looking for last-minute gifts. And I'm a grown-up now. I'm living on my own with my buddy Will, who's in the audience tonight. And I say to my dad, I'm like, Dad, I just want to understand what's going on. Like, I asked you when I was a kid why we celebrate Christmas, even though we're Jews, and you said we did it because of Mom, because she always wanted a Christmas tree growing up. And I go through the whole thing. Talk about Dan, talk about not being bullied in school because everyone else celebrates Christmas, and he's just nodding soberly the whole time, and he's just listening to me, and then that dad voice says, oh, Matthew, I don't remember any of that. But let me tell you this. We celebrate Christmas because, as you know, your mother and I, we were married on December 12th, and Christmas was always the first big holiday after our wedding anniversary, so it became kind of important. And even as he's talking, like, I'm old enough at this point to know he's lying to me. Like, there's no way this is true. Like, you're not my therapist, and we haven't had 5 drinks together, so I'm not going to go into why I know this is true with my parents' relationship, but I know this isn't true. But I let him finish the story. And I hold on to that story. And I tell you, this has been maybe 20 years. I have not questioned this story because my mom's gone now. He's living in the same house alone. Those Christmas decorations, they don't come out the same way he used to bring them out. There's not as many screaming Christmas things. There's a lot less glitter and tinsel. And I like holding on to this. Because sometimes the lies are okay, right? Like sometimes the stories we tell ourselves, the stories we pass on, these are good things. These are things to hold on to. These are things that we pass on to our kids, maybe. I got kids of my own now, and I know I'm lying to them. Like, I don't know what I'm lying to them about. I know some things, but I'm sure there are all of these cutting to the end, short-form version things. I'm sure there's a lot of lies going into my kids' upbringing. But I try my best to make sure they're all of this positive kind, all of this wholesome kind, and all these kinds that they're going to want to hold on to, even though they too will one day know that I'm full of shit. Thank you.